to Le Bicolore. I'm very happy to introduce three amazing fashionable people, Pierre-Alexandre Mateos, Charles Teyssou, et Anna Gunvor, aka Bella Sky High. It's in this last days of our exhibition Liminal Objects by the curator Anna Gunvor, it's a group exhibition of 8 different fashion artists from all of Scandinavia, all of the north, Finland, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. And today we have 2 French curators who have curated a series of talks called Pure et Dure on Danish counterculture. And they have invited Anna Gunvor tonight, who is the writer of the fashion blog Freudian Slip Dress, and also a fashion forecaster. So tonight is going to be a talk about what's happening at the Copenhagen fashion scene from an art point of view, and maybe trying to see how it fits into this exhibition about art and fashion.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for introducing. I just wanted to... Voilà. Ça va mieux là? Non? Merci. Alors, ce soir, we will speak in English, of course. I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to say hi. My name is Catherine Lefebvre. I'm the Counselor for Art and Culture at the Embassy of Denmark. And I would like to draw your attention to the next upcoming opening on May 28th, where we will open the new exhibition here in this space, the Bicolore, which is going to be a solo exhibition by Jeanette Ehlers, who's a Danish artist, and working with performance, video, and identity issues. She is half Danish, half Trinidadian, and is very preoccupied with post-colonial issues, etc. So come and join us on the 28th of May for a glass of wine and for another amazing exhibition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the introduction. So this talk is part of a series of conversations that Pierre and I are creating at the Maison du Danemark called Pure et Dure. So I translated in French. Translated in English, it would be like pure and hard or pure and rough, depending on your perspective. And so Pure et Dure is a series of conversations on Danish countercultures, genre cinema, artistic rarities, new comets, and forgotten ghosts. Pierre and I will be revisiting provocative and subterranean forms linked to the land of Hamlet, jester figures, and transgressive cinema that is Denmark. The first evening, which was like 6 months ago, was devoted to the figure of Knull Vesterkopf, a queer cineast, and it was like in the realm, in the context of Anya Harrison exhibition here called X Capital of Desire. And so now we're like incredibly happy, honored to talk to designer, part impresario, street photographer, curator on the edge, artist of the unknown, bimbo blogger, and last but not least, fashion trend forecaster, Anna Gunvor, aka Bella Sky High. So please join me in welcoming Anna.
Hi, and welcome to this second round of Pure et Dure. So, as Charles said, we invited Anna Gunvor, aka Bella Sky High. She's a designer, a party planner, a photographer, a curator, an artist, a bimbo blogger, and a fashion trend forecaster, as Charles said. And her style could be described as bimbo core, glam trash. That's my word, that's my adjective, so I take the responsibility. A glitter activist or a sassy fashion editor. She's also a club kids impresario. I qualify her as a street psychanalyst. And finally, a Christiana local celebrity, so most important. At the end of this talk, Anna Gunvor will present a pop-up shop for her clothes for those who will be interested to mimic her style. Yes, that will be so at the end of the talk, and that's just behind you. But to come back to the really beginning, so just few pictures that maybe embodies the style of Bella Sky High, or at least her internet presence, because as we can see, there are difference between her internet presence and the reality, the different bubble she's linked and connects in Copenhagen. So reclaim problematic. So to come back to the very beginning of the talk and how Charles and I discovered Anna Gunvor, we started our investigation about the Danish anti-fashion scene. So anti-fashion is this movement, it's an umbrella word to depict a movement linked to protest movements such as hippie, punk, and queer culture. It's often represent a sort of rebellion against the established norm and ephemeral trend of the fashion industry, and emphasizing individuality and the questioning of traditional standards. And among our archive material we had on Pure et Dure, we had like few discovery, and we would like to share some fashion reliquia from Denmark that connects maybe with Anna's current practice. And I would like to ask Anna expertise and commentaries about this bubble pop candies I will present. So the first one is a teen movie, a girl gang film made in 2017 by Annika Berg. It's a portrait of a group of teenage girls obsessed with social media and who want to escape their teenage years. It's a mix of documentary, fiction, and punk and web aesthetic. And that's creates an interesting connection to Ryan Trecartin, the American artist. So we will deal a little bit with this kind of hysterical aesthetic linked to social media. So I will ask to show the trailer.
Don't be so hard on yourself. 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 Bitch.
Jeg tror virkelig også, hun kan være det. Ja, det tror jeg virkelig, det tror jeg virkelig.
En bitch er en dårlig ting.
En bitch, det er en, der bitcher. Ja. En bitch er en, der bitcher.
Jeg vil vildt gerne give slip på mit 11-årige jeg. Jeg vil også gerne af med sygdommer, men jeg starter med bunden.
Jeg kan ikke være alene og bare have det fint nok med mig selv. Hvis jeg døde nu, så vil ingen opdage det, fordi jeg er helt alene. Jeg føler virkelig, at jeg ikke har levet op til deres forventninger. Og de bare hader mig.
Lige pludselig væltede der bare en masse følelser igennem. Glæde og sorg. Og jeg også for første gang i meget lang tid kunne fornemme sult.
Piger? Ja. Jeg er sådan virkelig glad for, at jeg mødte jer.
So maybe Anna, can you maybe extend or say how you relate to Team Hurricane, if you are?
Yes, I will try it. So, Team Hurricane, I remember very clearly when this movie got out. It is the project of the Film Academy in Denmark. It's like an exam project from there, and the director went out to this free gymnasium in Copenhagen and picked out this squad. The people who we see in this movie are all people that I have encountered in my life through the club scene in Copenhagen. But back when I saw it, you could see it through a link where you had to pay 20 kroner and then you got access to the movie. I remember it being this explosion of teenage room vibes, very post-internet, and it makes total sense that you found this video in researching my practice as well, because I am a big sucker for using internet aesthetics and kind of blurring the lines between what is online and what is real. All of these stunning girls has turned into beautiful they-thems today, and they are all roaming the streets of Copenhagen. They have become artists, club kids, everything. It's a great movie.
So another fashion relic I find on your Instagram was this track from 2000, a Danish pop duo, Creamy, that I didn't know before. A track in particular, I Do, I Do, I Do. And I saw you realize a piece with S-Band, another artist we exhibit during Clown Kingdom at Maison du Danemark. And you realize an inflatable that was famous in a movie clip of Creamy. Maybe can we play like the 31st seconds of Creamy Eurocore speedy kind of track? No, that's not. That's Instagram. On the slides, yes, the slide after. Yes, yeah, Creamy. That's my. Could we put? Oh yes, perfect. So this track was extremely popular in Denmark, and now it's all like I talk in a fun park. Anyway, it represents extremely well the 2-year kids kind of aesthetic. Maybe could you talk about the project you did with S-Band? And I have pictures of this artwork just after. Yes.
So Creamy is something that I, as a Dane, am extremely proud of, has come out of Denmark. It is something that went extremely global, actually, because of the Disney movie Help, I'm a Fish, and they did the anthem for this. On this album cover that we saw, I had the album that I would play on my, I don't even know what they're called anymore, but the things you put CDs in. I would play that all the time in my room. And flip through this little folder with pictures of them, and the aesthetics that you see in Creamy and their whole universe is also really the same aesthetics that you will find in Team Hurricane. This like hyperpop, very cutified world. And the title "Help, I'm a Fish" is for me also a very like queer anthem, to be honest. It's about finding out who you are, and I think it correlates really well with the Team Hurricane movie. And so I'm a researcher in every way, and I spend a lot of time on DBA, which is the Danish eBay. And back in 2017, I stumbled upon this beautiful and in 2017, I was really into inflatable stuff. It's the same time as Team Hurricane came out, so that was definitely an aesthetic present at the moment. And I stumbled upon this very beautiful big clam, inflatable. And when I clicked on the link, I saw a text that said, "This extraordinary clam or mussel used to be Creamy's performance stage." And I immediately wrote to them that I wanted to buy it. It was 2,500 kroner, so a steal. And it was all the way up in Hjørring, which is the northern part in Denmark. I didn't really know what to do with it at first, but I drove there and had coffee and all the things you do when you go to Hjørring in Denmark. And we realized that the clam had been eaten by mouse, so it was no longer inflatable. But they offered they offered it to me for free, so I took it back to Copenhagen. But the issue was that I never really had a space big enough to actually blow it up, because it's really big. I think it would fill out this room, like where you're sitting. It's like she's a big girl. But the rumor went around very fast in Copenhagen that I was now the owner of this clam in Copenhagen, and I wanted to turn it into this pop-up gallery called Creamy Gallery, and do a performance series based on the track titles of the CD, like I Do, I Do, I Do, Held by My Fish, and all these other teenage girls anthems. But then I was invited to inflate it for a festival that is annual, I think, in Copenhagen, called Alt CPH, and it has different curators. That year it was Esben Weile and Anna Weile who curated it, and they wanted to turn it into a full performance festival. And I was gonna blow up Creamy Gallery, but the thing is, like I said before, I could not blow her up. She was old and she had been eaten up by mouse. So actually, the pictures that we see here are taken years after, when me and Esben finally managed to blow her up and took these images. There are also still images out on videos out on YouTube from maybe if there are some Danes here who recall Musikbutikken, which was a show that showed cool musicians. You can actually see it in use. But the story of Creamy Gallery is that if you get a big clam in Copenhagen, people are going to find out, and even though you never really blow it up, people in France are going to think you have an art project with it. So it's like a mystery what really happened with Creamy Gallery.
I don't know, I just love the ambivalence of this object, or this creamy pop duo. It's adorable, in the same time perverse. I perceive a sort of melancholia in this like teenager anthem. But to come back maybe to the third reference I wanted to introduce, and maybe that's draw something a little bit more, not pervasive, but I would say a precedent is a group dance, a performance group who was active in the late 90s and the 2000s in Christiania. It's a group of drag queen, designer, painter, musician, dancer and filmmaker. They self-describe them as a sexual and political organization. I will show you pictures. And they produce TV series, extremely lo-fi TV series, radio, parties, performance, music, films, strike, and riots. They were extremely politicized, and they were both like a political association and a radical anti-fashion gang that emerged from the underground queer scene as an alternative to the established and stereotypied LGBT, more accepted by heteronormative. And when I saw you practice, and especially your sense of community, your role as a party impresario, I was thinking about this precedence, the dance group of Christiana. Did you meet them, or you connect with them in any way?
With Dunst?
Yes.
I never met Dunst. I think they're a little prior to my time as a club kid in Copenhagen.
Yes, you're right.
But there are still like Dunst affiliated people around in the club scene in Copenhagen. But Bøssehuset is a place that I frequent often.
So after this mise en bouche with really Anna Gunvor, that's a. So do you consider yourself as an artist, as a designer, as a party impresario, a community guru?
Yeah, I will take all the titles. I think I want to compliment you for actually capturing very well what I do in between being not just, but artist and designer. But my work really comes from, community parties, commenting, all this. I will take all the titles.
I would describe your style and imagery as a mix of year 2K aesthetics, I was thinking a lot about Skin, the Cerebre Euphoria of UK in the 2000s, a style full of glitters, drugs, rimel, and hedonism. I was thinking a lot about like nightcore, music, emo track, but also about a sort of low-key, lo-fi self-branding of the MySpace era as an opposition to the professionalized influencer of your current era. And that's how I feel your aesthetic, as you have like a sort of nostalgia of the very beginning of the social network, of the beginning of the 2010, late 2000, I would say. So we talk about really recent history, but yes, you're born in 94, so.
Yeah, to comment on that, being born in 94 makes me just between millennial and Gen Z. But if we analyze my kind of age, we do have a big sense of nostalgia. This like longing for a world that used to be when everything was simpler. I do draw a lot on references from, it can be Y2K, it can be the early 10s. The statement tops are definitely inspired from that era. So yeah, I can definitely prescribe like a lot of nostalgia in my practice, which is interesting because a lot of the work that I do is trend forecasting, which is actually about the future.
We'll talk about the trend forecasting, but maybe something that represents extremely well your work, and that's also really interests me in this campaign you developed for Copenhagen Contemporary, an art center in Copenhagen. And you was behind this campaign, and this campaign basically documents, create a sort of panorama of all the usual suspects of the creative scene of Copenhagen. I mean, all. I mean, your bubble, your scene, and that's what I find extremely interesting also about you. And you are at the intersection of different scenes that usually don't talk so much each other, that sometimes ignore or being hostile with each other. I'm talking about the squat scene, the fashion scene, more linked to the fashion week. So some people a little bit more corporate, or a little bit more activists. Yes, and maybe can we talk about this image and describe where this amazing person?
Yes, in the front we have I Want Masculina, Electra Rothschild, who has constructed together with Cassie this amazing orange dress that you see here. Next up we have owner of the biggest, most radical meme account in Copenhagen. I can't reveal the name of it, but you can maybe guess it. And also Club Bouncer. Then we have Philip, who I work with doing Icon TV, where we comment on Copenhagen Fashion Week. He is also the creative director of Viscose magazine, who I know you have done a talk with here as well. Sham, who is the next person, is a DJ and does parties. Then we have Heva, who is also a DJ, and actually we have a DJ duo together. And the next is DJ Algorithm, who is definitely the definition of this nostalgia. And next up is myself, wearing Everything is Real. Yeah, then we have a stunning rich kid called Clement, who is a photographer. And the next one is Trixie, my best friend, who does the Love Parade in Copenhagen and the Bedside Parties, which is a series of queer parties. Next is Shake, who we are going to hear a little bit from afterwards, also does the Bedside Parties, which is like these sex parties in Copenhagen. Then we have Shami, who is the creative director of Stam, also a fabulous brand from Copenhagen, an artist and a stylist. Next
so
up,
this campaign never finished.
It's never
it's
done.
A pretty large panorama.
Next up is Lina Raffen, who I've worked with a few times in my campaign work. She is the lead singer of Infernal, who did the iconic and very relevant track to mention here, From Paris to Berlin. Then we have Maja Malou Lyse, who is an artist, and then we have Camilla Lind, who is a performer, punk band singer and choreographer. Next up is kind of more of a duo, also great artists on their own, but as a duo they are called Noah and Mai and Proxy. They are drag artists, and they do everything from drag at Mayhem, which is a DIY club, to Ganny Brunch, to everything really. And the last person standing in the back wearing intellectual property is an artist called Aske, who is the best artist in Denmark, if you ask me, and just got a talent prize. Aske is Aske Højer.
Okay.
Just did a Christmas calendar in 24 episodes for Roskilde Museum, and currently based in Lisbon.
Okay, and this campaign, I mean, is promoting your brand. So Bella Sky and I, as self-described as a trend nihilism brand. So could you talk about your trend nihilism obsession?
Yeah, so I have been claiming this title as a trend forecaster since 2018, where I was inspired by this trend forecasting collective called Quelles. They were the ones who coined cores like normcore, for example. They would hand out PDFs for you to download, and I did my first one in 2018. And I've been doing that continually, and also using my Instagram as a platform for trend forecasting. We actually discussed it earlier today. I have also done it professionally with brands, but I prefer to actually keep it more as an artistic practice. Ever since I opened my blog, I have been really centering myself around this topic of trends being out of trend. Today we have so many trends because of the internet, because of globalizations. For me, it doesn't really make sense anymore to talk about trends. So I do a lot of work that I call trend nihilism, which is about that trends are something in the past. Trends and cores no longer exist.
And so maybe how do you build like the trend forecasting report? Because as we were like speaking about Quelles, they were really famous for like coining the term normcore. And at the same time, it's like discovering the future, and also there is this kind of autoprophetic virtue, of like making the future realize itself by stating it is the future. So how do you see like trend forecasting, or how do you do it personally?
So for me, trend forecasting is a very hard thing to do, and also a very cunty title to take on, and I'm aware of that. However, in order to, because how can you, it's also something I write on my own blog, like how can you tell what the mess is all about when you are in fact the mess yourself? You need to really look into your scene and really be assured that the conversation, like you can't really do it on your own. It's a conversations that you have among your friends. And you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I think trend forecasting is like some shaman shit that either you can or either you can't. But you can also do trend forecasting based on data. I also have someone who's like my Gen Z expert on Reddit and on TikTok who helps me when I need to deliver a more professional trend forecast. How to do a proper trend forecast is really to nail down what is the zeitgeist now, and then you can always, for example, with fashion, use the past as your reference for the future. Right now, we have been in a global era of Y2K. It's an era that we have because, first of all, because of the nostalgia that I described before. The Y2K era means that we look back to actually the 2000s, which is a very, very not that long time ago. However, and then it's very easy to make the conclusion that the next era will be indie sleaze or will be indies, which will refer to the tens that comes right after. What is really interesting is if you follow this trend cycle of fashion, we're gonna reach our own time now after indie, and my prediction for that will be normcore. So to start it at Quelles and end it there.
And this trend forecasting, I mean, you use a platform in particular that's an open source that you can download on the web, But you also produce a magazine that was presented in the exhibition at Contemporary, Copenhagen Contemporary. The magazine is just behind, maybe.
I can maybe show a trend forecast from there.
Yes.
Can I have it back? So a trend forecast can look, of course, when you hand it into a company, it will be like a list of stuff. But like I tried to nail down what a trend forecast is through like this spread. You take a look at the mega trends. That is something that cannot be changed. This is like fixed stuff. Urbanization, global warming is also called a mega trend. What makes a mega trend is that it's more than 20 years old, and that is global warming. And then we have technology, also major trend. Then we go into the macro trends, which are born from the mega trends. So as a result of urbanization, we have middle class expands because of urbanization. So and we have a trend that is SoMe. SoMe is not even a mega trend, it's like a macro trend, so it's like a smaller trend. And down here we have rich and poor divide, because people are getting richer from technology. And we have sustainability because of global warming. Then we have uncertain future because of global warming. Uncertain future gives people anxiety, which is like a micro trend. Then we have middle class need for individual. So the middle class expands, which gives us a lot of middle class kids who needs to express themselves and show that they are not a part of their middle class family. They are special. With that, we have TikTok. We have all these different medias for them to find community where they can find other middle class kids who are also super special. This will turn into. Oh yeah, and the uncertain future gives us a longing for nostalgia, because back in the day we didn't need to think about global warming all the time. Like people would buy houses for $1 and then they would make a lot of money off it. It was like simpler times, and the world was not gonna burn up in a minute. This turns into memes. All this turns into cores, and because of global warming, we like to shop for vintage clothes, used clothes. Also something that comes out of it's like a post-financial crisis thing that wearing used clothes is something that's socially acceptable and actually cool, and it fits perfectly with the image that the middle class kids want, where they're special and they just don't go out and get their clothes from the rack. When you go to the thrift shop, you will find clothes from the most recent era, which is the Y2K clothes, like the clothes from the 2000s, which fits perfectly into your nostalgia, because you're always looking back in time as a millennial/Gen Z, and that will give you cores like.
Would you say I Want Masculina could be part of this trend forecasting?
Yeah, where should we place her?
That's behind you, like some.
I'm just gonna end it with. I'm just gonna end it with.
Denmark. Maybe that's a brand developed by Electra Rothschild.
Yes. So the trend forecast ends at poor core. That was my point. Yeah. So I Want Masculina is a stunning designer from Denmark. And also someone that I collaborate with a lot. And she is a designer who took her education at Central St. Martin. She's an excellent craftswoman, and like you probably said, she has made for Cassie. They do a lot of collaborations as well. Cassie is a performer, a very excellent performer. And they work together. She has crafted this stunning jacket for her. And Electra just got, she's a club kid and a trans girl, and is a girl who takes in her community also for the runway. And her show that she did at Copenhagen Fashion Week is really the first time that I see so much of my community, and also all these bitches that you will only see in the club. So all the trannies were there, walking the runway, some of them wearing hardly anything. Yeah, that's the brand of I Want Masculina or Masculina. It's a world where the community is super important for her inspiration for her work. The community walks the runway, and the community is also the friends that sit and helps her in her basement to craft all these looks until 4 a.m. They will be the people beating a corset. Like, it's a very community project.
And inside, among your communities, there are also a lot of musicians. You collaborate. That's more like a link to the trend forecasting. I really love this meme that you developed, the boost pitch meme. Yes. So it's still hard for me to pronounce it. So Martin Schacker, yes. Okay, this time it's work. Is one of the key figures of the techno Copenhagen sound scene. Influenced by industrial and noise music, and you collaborate with him a few times. He's basically sitting on your Sigmund Freud sofa. You also made for the exhibition Sigmund Freud analysis, I think, are behind his ass.
Yes.
And yes, so we will listen just an extract of
So I can maybe introduce him a little bit more, because now we talked about creamy before. Did I just get louder, or?
Yes.
Okay. We talked about creamy before as something that came out of Denmark that actually made it to the grand stage of the world. And if you look in the electronic music scene in Denmark, we actually have a few girls who are very popular amongst the rest of the world. And Shaka here, who is, yes, a collaborator. I do his music videos, his merch. Say with Masculina, we also collaborate with some of the stuff from her runway. Anyways, he has done like club hit of the year a few times for resident advisor. He is never home. He is traveling the world as a DJ and a producer, and really someone to look into. Like, it doesn't look like a lot, but this is creamy that you're looking at here from the techno scene. Yeah.
Another stuff we have observed is maybe the influence of American collective group with this same sense of pastiche as you, were like famous to operate in an hybridation of different creative scene and link the contemporary artwork to the fashion scene. I was thinking about Art Club 2000 or Bernadette Corporation, who, for example, create this magazine in the 90s, Made in USA. So Bernadette Corporation, that was John Kilsey, Bernadette Van Nuy, and the third one, okay, Wikipedia. But no, to come back, so they create this magazine where they mixed fashion imagery, fashion edito with hardcore theory. They are also famous to bring, basically the collective is born in a club, and that's something that seems really important for you too. A lot of ideas are directly booming in the club, in a late night context, in an after party. That's how you can develop your project. I mean, not all the time, but yeah. So I was curious, maybe American influence on your work, if you feel relate to Bernadette, for example, or this kind of group from the 90s.
Yeah, I fucking love Bernadette Corporation, so I'm very happy that you are comparing a little bit my practice to the way that they work. What I love about them working is that they, and again, sorry, artists, but like they're not just a bunch of artists. They are very cross-disciplinary. I come actually from advertising, and they use advertising a lot in their practice too. They are a group of people who come from every corner of a cultural sector. You will see musicians, advertisement people, artists, everyone in it. And I also see like a lot of like Situationism kind of references in their work, which I probably also have a little bit in my own. And yeah, American culture is like my favorite thing in the world.
Describe yourself as an American expat in Copenhagen.
Yeah, I describe myself like I identify as a gay man and also as an American girl. It's something that gets me in trouble all the time in Denmark because in Denmark you're like really a fan of the States for numerous reasons. But for me, I've always been looking towards pop culture. I've always been obsessed with it, really. Started out by being really interested in the hip-hop scene that came out of the US, but just anything that I have been exposed to growing up comes from the US, so my obsession with it is pretty big, yeah.
Talking about US subculture, there are another, that was okay, all, trend forecasting. Yes. But talking about US subculture, I also remember you made a group show called Yippie, so probably in reference to the Yippie culture, this movement in the 70s in the US started against the Vietnam War. And you organized a group show at Café Moonfisher in Christiania. Could you tell us a little bit more about this Yippie project?
Yes. Yippie.
Yeah,
Here we can see it. There are some really great artists in this. Månefiskeren is an iconic cafe in Christiania, and it does have art shows monthly, but it's usually just people who come up to the counter and has like made art. I'm not gonna trash the art that they already exhibit, but usually they don't do like group shows and stuff. It's like a different kind of art that they usually exhibit here. I tried to do a group show of a group of friends who, a little bit like Bernadette Corporation or whatever, because I also casted myself in the group show. We all work together. We accuse each other of stealing each other's work. We fight. We are super inspired from each other.
You said you wanted to create a scene of hostility when you did this exhibition. That's what you told me. You wanted to create a drama in the creative scene of Copenhagen.
It's my first
I'm curious
time.
about your bad intention.
Yeah, it's my first time ever curating, and what a stunning thing to do. It's like creative direction, but it has space to it too. And like selecting a bunch of artists is a really fun thing to do for a small show like this. I just chose people who were good friends and people who were not good friends, people who had completely different views on how to work with politics in their practice, and then exhibited in this also political place, Månefiskeren, which is really a coffee shop. On the slides here, you see a really great painter called Sofie Elmgren's work here in the dealer's corner. This is where all the negotiation happens inside of Månefiskeren. And this is from the back. It's my own work here, Esben Vejle Kjær, Åse Nielsen, and Aske Høyer, who I told you about being the artist of the century. It's an homage to the Yippies, which is a counter movement from the 60s that came out of the hippie movement. They thought the hippies were just, again, middle-class kids doing nothing but smoking weed, and the Yippies wanted to like get into politics, but using stuff like street theater, things that we are gonna, what's it called? Flash mobs and shit. That would be like street theater back then. They did a lot of fun stuff. They shut down Disneyland at one point. They had a pig running for president. And they also used very Americana aesthetics in their political discourse. They would always include the American flag. So of course, aesthetically, I'm also very drawn to them. And I do think of Christiania as the New York of Copenhagen. So for me, it made sense to pay homage to them. And when I did this, I was just about to move to Christiania. So I also wanted to let the hippies know that the yippies were coming, sort of.
As I observe, you love provocation. And you've been cancelled multiple times in Copenhagen. I was interested by your cancelling story, and how did you reborn from this?
Okay, so yeah, Copenhagen.
Yeah, I love this sentence by you. That's yours.
This is like a tagline that I did back in 2020 when I did a tank top that said "Reclaim Problematic." And if we go back to the times back then, it was a time where a lot of fabulous big political movement has happened. Going backwards in chronological order, we had important stuff like Black Lives Matters, intersectional feminism, Me Too. All these important movements had come, and identity politics were born. What also came with, and I was working with that a lot, I was doing raves that was super political. I was thriving in this era. But with this identity politics also came cancel culture, which for me kind of fucked everything up a little bit. Because, and just to explain cancel culture, it's like if you do something wrong, then you're cancelled. You're out, like whatever. Cancel culture did this thing to identity politics, where all the great political, all these great political initiatives that came out of this, kind of needed to pause because. It was hard to do anything in this era because if you said something wrong, if you forgot a minority, if you made a mistake, kind of it tapped really into this like perfectionist culture where you couldn't really do any mistakes. And in the middle of this, I did a tank top that said, "Reclaim Problematic."
Oh yeah, this was that was the first image.
And that was the tagline, "Why have cancel culture when you can have cancel couture?" And it was me canceling myself, really, because I had kind of had it with it in my little bubble. And so when I did a t-shirt that said that in that time, of course, I was cancelled as fuck. But I also chose it a little bit myself, and that's maybe why I could get out of it again.
Another risk in matter of cancelling, that's maybe just the last aspect of your, because after you will present a small street report, extremely interesting about Christiana. So I just wanted to talk about your blog, Freudian Slip Dress, which is a sort of witty, sassy derive commentary of fashion without editing. A bit in the style of Natasha Stagg of Crisscross. And when I discovered you on Instagram, I find the blog extremely interesting, extremely moralistic in a good sense. I mean, you said like cruel tales about people describing situation and human relation, with an acute and cruel eyes, and I love that. So yes. Maybe you wanted to read just a small paragraph, or I don't know if you have time, or you.
I can also read that one.
Yes, maybe yes.
Should I read this one, or something else?
You can.
Should I read the one with the French guy?
Yes. Yes, it's the other one. It's our gossip about a French guy. So.
I joined the glitter community and not in the glam way. Hi, what's up? I'm sitting in a cafe in Berlin after a corporate-turned-messy weekend. This is my first post since my Vivienne Westwood and Demna Gvasalia rant, and this post features interesting new facts about the Balenciaga teddy bear children's saga. I've been wearing some interesting things lately, lots of lingerie, but also random items randomly ending up on my face or on my body. The best fashion is always gifted or found in the streets, from Rasta beanies to facial glitter. My friend who just left the cafe asked me why the fuck I was full of glitter on my neck. Well, the glitter in Berghain. So what happened was I came to Berlin with work stuff, and somewhere between a talk and a meeting, I lost my new phone and credit card. Stolen probably because I'm such a dumb bitch. I had just had an interesting and surprising conversation with this older man. Due to nightlife obligations from my previous life as a club bouncer / club politician, I went with the cultural mayor and other interests to talk club culture with the Club Commission of Berlin. In the city of Copenhagen, we don't have club culture because people hate noise and love alcohol. The club culture is not found in the city, but in the outskirts. Anyways, one of the people from the trip who really hates noise turned out to be a fashion photographer in the late 80s and told me stories about documenting Vivienne Westwood, Catherine Hamnet, Galliano, and early McQueen. He was name-dropping models like Naomi and Kate. He's like 100 years old, and I'm going to see his photo archive when I come back to Copenhagen. When our lunch convo was interrupted, I just left my phone and cards there on the table, went back to the hotel phoneless, and from there the weekend took some interesting twists. I ended up in Nan Golden's apartment for some reason that night, and then to Ficken 3000. I was sitting with my friend who was wearing the Hunter rubber boots, and I was on my Yeezy shit wearing rubber boots too, and the Balenciaga Gap hoodie, and my homemade trousers that says, "Try me" on the ass. Then a French guy chatted me up in the dark room, and let's just say he tried, using so much sarcasm and irony that I thought it was year 2010. The indie sleaze is really taking on now. His opening line was, "I am French and I hate bad sarcasm." We talked for some time, and he was being sarcastic the whole conversation, but he also kept talking about his gayness until he said how he liked teenage girls. I realized his sarcasm was his pathetic way of flirting with me in the dark room. Happens a lot here in Berlin, that cunty boys come up to me, and then I'm cunty back, and then they stop being gay, and they are like straight, and I'm like, what the fuck? The French guy kept saying he was rich, sarcastically, but also he was rich, so again, what the fuck? He bought me some drinks, and on the way home, I told my friends about his teenage girl comment, and one told me he was the image director of the Balenciaga teddy bear campaign, LOL. Everything is starting to make sense now. You can excuse everything you do or say by calling it sarcasm right after, instead of standing up for yourself and embrace the cringiness of being sincere. I don't care whether you're a French guy or you're a Balenciaga. I don't care what you do as long as you mean it. I went to a very Aquarius birthday at Berghain the next day. At the Berghain canteen, sorry. Crowd was a good mix of the regular non-binaries, rich artist, a pregnant woman who was beautiful and probably had had a career in fashion and the club, and then this particular style icon wearing face glitter, a dizzy gal looking ensemble, and two fanny packs, one in leather and one in faux fur giraffe print. She stopped me on the dance floor and asked me if I wanted glitter on my face. Usually I would have said no for aesthetic reasons. When I go to the club, I wear what I want, but I don't wear black and I don't wear glitter. But when your phone and cards are stolen, you don't really give a fuck. So all of a sudden, she was pulling out the Vaseline and the 50 shades of different glitters from her giraffe fur bag. Then I was in Berghain with face and neck full of glitter. I really got to Rachel. I got to experience the plur from the inside. Peace, love, unity, respect. Joining the glitter community is a big eye-opener, and all of a sudden you're a part of this tribe of people in ponchos, eyes rolling, mouth going. It's all plur. You go home and you Google stuff like dizzy gal and wall rocks, and glitter doesn't come off, so now I'm stuck with it. Je suis glitter community. I have to go to the airport now and navigate going home without money on phone. Fashion Week has begun in Copenhagen. I'm walking and DJing, and it's giving pre-financial crisis decadence for me, but it pays way less. LOL. Ciao for now. XOXO Bella.
So for more sassy and gossipy derive, just go to Freudian's Libres. Anna, you will now present your street report from Copenhagen.
Yes, that's another slideshow. So Okay, so where should I start? Maybe here. I wanted to do a Copenhagen style report for this little talk. I do work as a street style photographer as well, but I wanted to show you some pictures from the place that I'm never hired to do street style from. Christiania is my favorite place to hang out, to go and find fabulous looks. I live in Christiania and I work in Christiania, and the people here just do it a little bit better, if you ask me. We have all sorts of fabulous people: the Rastas, the Burners, we have the old Christianites. And why I'm showing you this is because we did get a little bit into the Situanists and just this idea of using the street as your stage, as street style actually should be. I think the real style is found in the places that actually are scenes and not just down in Strøget in Copenhagen. Who I'm showing you here is like younger Christianites, and like the Burner, and then we have the OGs, and they don't give a fuck. They will wear anything. One of the reasons why they dress like this out in Christiania is because Christiania has a long also history of street theater. There's a lot of yippie culture to be found there. I can show you a little bit of a very iconic performance group called the Sun Chariot. It's called Solvognen in Denmark. Maybe some of you recall them. Yeah, sure, go ahead. And this is, it's gonna explain itself.
I december 1974 spærrer københavnerne øjnene op. En hær klædt i rødt marcherer rundt i gaderne. En julemandshær.
Den opstod ved, at der var en fyr, der fik en idé. En af Solvognens medlemmer fik en idé. Pludselig en dag, så kom han og sagde, kan I ikke se det for jer? Der går en port op, og så kommer der 100 julemænd ud på rulleskøjter. Og det kunne alle jo se var en morsom idé.
Teatergruppen Solvognen vil med en 5 dage lang aktion og en hær af julemænd sætte fokus på det, de kalder julens borgerlige konsumterror og den stigende arbejdsløshed i oliekrisens kølvand.
Vi vil godt have en stemme i samfundsdebatten. Vi havde selvfølgelig ikke magt, men vi vil gerne have indflydelse. Vi vil gerne starte diskussioner om de ting, og det synes jeg egentlig også lykkedes. Der var mange, der blev gale på os, men der var også mange, der murede sig.
Julemandshæren var politisk teater til folket, der kunne se, hvordan julemanden forgæves prøvede at være god, men altid blev slæbt væk af politiet.
Han skulle virkelig prøve at være god. Han skulle for eksempel rive arbejdsretten ned. Det synes vi var uretfærdigt. Vi synes, de dømte uretfærdigt. Så der skulle han ind med hakker og bord og sådan noget. Jævnbygning med jorden. Han skulle ind i en bank og bede om 50 millioner kroner til at bygge hus for. Og det blev jo afvist under stor rabalder, for de blev så bange.
Kulminationen på julemandshæren udspiller sig i Magasin, hvor en række udklædte julemænd lige pludselig dukker op midt i julemylderet og begynder at dele ud af Magasins varer. Kvitterfrit. Gaver til folket.
Og der blev jo ballade.
Jeg er ikke råd til at give fede julegaver!
Men så kom der jo ret hurtigt nogle butiksinspektører og begyndte at rive gaverne fra folk og rive julemanden i skæggene. Så var det lidt ballade, lidt skræmmende. Så det var så det, og til sidst blev de ført bort af politiet. Det var sørgeligt. Børnene skreg.
Kulminationen i Magasin fik for alvor fokus på julemandshæren og arbejdsløsheden. Aktionen var fuldført. En succes for den Christiania-baserede teatergruppe og deres idealer.
Solvognen er født ud af 70'erne og den politiske tid som en teatergruppe, der ville pege på vores og nedbryde vores borgerlige livsformer. Pege på den onde kapitalisme, der udbyttede arbejderen og
Let's sum it up. Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to bring in the Sun Chariot or this particular performance is I think fashion gets really inspiring when you use a way to dress up to also create imagery in the streets. This picture of Santa Claus being torn away by the police is a very strong image, and kids crying is a very strong image to make. And I think it's rare to find this sort of image making within the rest of the city. If you take a trip in Christiania, you're going to make sure that the people are wanting to get into conversation with you by what they wear, or a lot of them will, because there is a very old heritage of this street theater. Another place where I feel like you can find this sort of imagery being made is in the club scene in Copenhagen. And this is the club scene in Copenhagen. It's clubs being built up DIY and then torn down the next day. This club was built this year, and when I came out to another club that popped up right next to it, this one had been demolished by Copenhagen. So because we can't really have the club culture in clubs, it will take place in other places. And because I wanted to show you Solvognen, I got to think about some of the raves that has been in the outskirts of Copenhagen, where dress code has been a very important tool to handle the police wanting to shut them down. This one is a midsummer theme, like the Swedish midsummer, where you dress in white. This is a midsummer themed rave where all the attendees were asked to dress up as if they were a midsummer party, so they would look less hostile when the police came. So all the people here are dressed up, but of course people in the club scene are really great with styling, and also these super fresh looks came out of this. There's also this like super wonky crew from Copenhagen. It's like gamers, art bros, nerds coming together, and they dress up as office workers, and they do trance raves in the forest. So, and it's first of all again a tool for when the police comes, it's gonna look different because they look less weird. They look like co-workers partying, but it's also this idea, I think, for them to create imagery of an office party in the woods, to create these funny images. And this party has been going on for years and years, and it's still a thing. And when people go out, they bring cups, they do merch, they bring whiteboards, laptops, everything. Yeah. I wanted to talk about a very important place in Copenhagen as well, where a lot of the people you have seen in my work, a lot of the people that I work with from the club scene, we all kind of met here in this squad called Stargirl. These pictures are actually quite new. I took them on New Year's Eve this year, where they did an ending party because this squad was also being demolished by the city. But this place has held so many great musicians from Denmark, fashion people from Denmark, club kids, whatnot, artists, and it's where everything really began also for me. So Stargirl, and this is just pictures from Stargirl where people again dress up and create these imagery, but they also dress up for each other, yeah, just fun photos from Stargirls during the year. And something that came out of Stargirl as well is a very important party collective in Denmark called Bedside Productions. Bedside Production was formed in, I think, 2018. Again, identity politics were booming, sex positivity was a big thing. Think about Maja Malou Lyse again and her practice and how she worked with liberating sex, and they wanted to do the first queer porn production company. And the two people hugging here are the CEOs of Bedside Productions. They wanted They wanted to become porn directors, but they thought in order to become proper porn directors, they needed to be the stars of the first movie. So they dressed up as two gay men. And yeah, you need to go see it because there are details I don't have to mention here. But that was how they were born as porn directors. And Bedside also turned into a magazine. This one, I did the first 3 with them. It was like about the scene. It was like a fun porn magazine, but also like, but really about this scene also in Copenhagen. People would send in nudes. There would be different harm reduction kind of advice in it. This is actually like some of the characters from Team Hurricane holding the scenes. The person on the right did their own sex story about this like alien shit, and on the next one is my friend Trixie, who holds up my trend forecast from 2020. And it also became a club collective, and in their club scene they do, or in their parties at the club, they try to invent all these nights for queer people that the queer people probably never got to experience in their teenage years. So the gala, they did a wet gala, they did a prom, they did all these sort of like teenage memories kind of recreated into these queer parties. The thing I really love about both Christiania and the crew Bedside production is they will really hold space for everyone. This is when you say it's for everyone, they mean it. So we have masochists over here. This is me dressed for my DJ gig at one of the parties, and here's another slut from Bedside Productions. I think it's Copenhague maybe. And yeah, sometimes because the club culture is really a photoless space, usually you're not supposed to take pictures, but recently they have started with, like, in the recent years, they've started to do photo walls at the parties. So here it's actually Masculina who did the dress over here. We're at the wet gala. And over here it's like it was a pool party themed sex party. And I wanted to show these pictures because this is also styles that you can't really nail down into cores. It's also styles that will never be shown during Copenhagen Fashion Week, but it is definitely the core, if you ask me, of what makes Copenhagen a place where Copenhagen is just a small city. So if you do something, the city will react. And if you do something, and you are actually able to create your own little bubbles, you just need to scratch the surface a little bit to find them. And yeah, that's my last slide. It says "Shed on our core," and that's all I have to say. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anna is presenting your collection, a pop-up collection, just at the end of the exhibition, and our drink will be served also. So you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.